going, Damien? Luke?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, good. Can't complain. In the shed, heaters on, raining outside. It's great.
Yeah, and I've come down and seen my mate Luke and another mate Andrew on the other side of the world. Is like it was only yesterday, but it's good to meet someone face to face in this weird COVID world.
It's a bit odd. It's nice to be able to have someone at my house.
Speak for yourselves, boys. We're still obviously not allowed to have anyone around, and no events and no nothing open. But they say this Sunday that Boris Johnson's going to make an announcement and to sort of tell us what the next steps are. So hopefully we can have people over ourselves. That'd be a big step.
Well, we just had our first case after a fortnight. So.
And he was a gentleman who caught it 6 weeks ago.
From you!
From the UK.
Sorry.
He emigrated from the UK and brought it down with him. So he must have been here for a little while then, March 20th or something.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
there you go. Well, that's not what we've come here tonight to talk about today.
Well, it sort of leads into motorsport because just before we started, you were mentioning there's no motorsport at all in the UK. And here in South Australia, motorsport technically did not stop. We've been running track days with a limit of 10 cars, 10 drivers the whole way through.
It's actually not a bad way to get it some good time on the track.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You normally pay big dollars for that.
So you haven't. So the prices are. I guess we should obviously we'll get on to more later. But Damien what are you manager at Mallala Motorsports Park now? You are. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think so.
Does everything possible to keep the place running.
Yeah. Well, my job title says manager, but it's one of those jobs where you're hands on and doing everything. So but it's motorsport. I'm living the dream.
So
amazing.
I guess give people the background into Mallala and what you do and how it ties in with the bend and everything that's going on.
Where do you want me to start?
Well, Clem Smith bought
an old airfield at the end of World War II,
So Mallala Motorsport Park was an old World War II airfield, and it's had a bit of a colourful past. And the previous owner, Clem Smith, a bit of a legend in South Australia and Australia, when he passed away, a couple of brothers who started. On the run. Well, their father started selling cigarettes and petrol here in South Australia. Bought himself with one petrol station and worked his way up, and now they've got $1 billion. And so they built themselves a racetrack at Tailem Bend, the Bend Motorsport Park, which is, as most of us would be aware, like the best racetrack in the world. And when Clem passed away, they bought Mallala, and Mallala's got a lot of history. It's a very tight, twisty, hard on the brakes track. 2,601 metres of tarmac.
Which some has been redone.
The northern hairpin's been resurfaced, yes.
Yep.
It's like magic, yes.
Yeah. It's a great little track. I mean, that was where I learned to drive, and I think a lot of people in South Australia and Australia definitely cut their teeth out there. Back in the day, it's
fantastic having the two tracks, because Mallala is really turning into a grassroots learning track. And we still do plenty of state stuff and national level stuff as well. But the Bend it's magic, really. I can't say anything else. Like it gives me goosebumps half the time talking about it. But, Mallala does too. Don't get me wrong. Don't dig a hole, Damo.
Mallala is Mallala. Look, I think we'd all be fair to say that Mallala holds a special place in our hearts. But it also, does. Mallala is Mallala. It's no Phillip Island or it's no Bend.
No, it's 2020. But it's not.
But for what it is, it's
perfect. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And like a track day at the Bend is $400 plus. A track day at Mallala is $100, 110, and at the moment it's 160, which for 3 hours of pure track time with almost no one else around you. Normally, you charge a premium for that. That's like So now's the best time to get out there and do motorsport. If you're in South Australia,
and soon the rest of Australia, but not in the UK for another few months, unfortunately. But
So
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So I guess it kind of ties in nicely because, where we met, I know that you've been very passionate about sort of fostering that real grassroots motorsport, more so in the off-road disciplines, but it's kind of good how Mallala now has kind of taken that place of sort of fostering that grassroots. And then basically, we call it the gateway drug to get people up into next minute you're in the bend in a race car that you've mortgaged your house to buy and away you go. But
the hardest bit is getting people out there the first time. We all know that. And like, you've got a big motorsport background, your dad, you've got a big motorsport background, the family, and most people in motorsport tend to have that same sort of background where they're already in the scene. I only started motorsport 10 years ago, so I clearly remember how much of a hidden secret it is and how hard it was to crack into it. It's very easy, but from the outside it seems hard. I'm not good enough. My car's not good enough. I don't have the stickers and sponsors.
I don't have race cars yet. I don't have suspension yet.
I can't be a race car driver. No way. So it's very it appears out of reach for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure you guys are going to start asking the questions that I can tell you it's not out of reach.
No. And I think that's a good point because I think a lot of people, the famous, as we've heard on the Smoking Tire podcast, but it's a quote I've stolen from them, but I think it's a great one. It's like the best race car is the one that you can drive on the track today and you don't have to spend years building in the shed and trying to tune and stop from blowing up and these tires and X, Y, Z. And it's like, just what you've got is the best car.
The reality is that no one driver is ever going to be the quickest driver you ever are personally straight off the bat. So, having just a grassroots car just to flog about and learn is the best.
Well, if you wait till your race car's finished, no race car is ever finished. So many people say, I'm building a race car. And it's like, that's nice. Keep building it. Yeah. Meanwhile, go get a $200 banger, weld the diff. Doesn't matter if it's an automatic, whatever. Just get it out there and have fun, Just keep building that mental car. But meanwhile, that's 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. And also to learn to drive, the number of people that turn up to the track with an amazing race car they've just built.
Yes.
And that thing needs a very expensive, like once you can confidently throw something cheap around and you can do those slides and you can, nail a good handbrake turn and not embarrass yourself, then maybe you're ready to step up into something that's a bit more serious, but you need to learn to drive first, and I think a lot of people tend to forget that sometimes.
But no one wants to admit that they can't drive. We're all, in our head, we're all drivers, we're all legends, we're all, aren't we? So, my first tarmac rally in my 1976 RA23 Celica. So I was doing the introductory class. We limited 130. And Mallala was the very first stage. So I come out of pit exit into Southerns, cold tyres, and just looped it and spun off backwards. Didn't put it in the stand, kept going. Well, when I brought it back in, apparently I heard afterwards Michael Clements and Andrew Admiral, the two Clark of course of the events and a couple of legends here in South Australia, were apparently shaking their head going, oh, God, do we do the right thing by letting Damo in this event? He's going to be out there with the gum trees. But in my defence, in my mind, I knew I was at a racetrack. I knew I had runoff. I knew I didn't have the trees. But exactly like you say, here I am thinking I can drive. I've got a race car, semi-slicks, first corner backwards off the track.
Happens so often. Well, I mean, what motorsport had you done prior to that?
I guess my very first motorsport event was Lanark Park or a Motorcarner. Probably a Motorcarner, actually. It was a Motorcarner at Big W in my Celica.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
$25 Motorcarner.
Down at the distribution centre in the car park at Monato. Yeah.
Awesome. So and then you go first time.
Yeah. And then my second event was a track day for the KPM Motorsport. Kick the table. through a local garage here in Adelaide.
Yep.
Yeah. And that had a bit of driver training in the morning, a bit of theory, and then we went out on the track and had cones on which that's on the apexes and turn in and run out. And it was a really good day. And on that day, a friend took a photo of my car with a semi-slicks, and just this really nice picture. I got it framed, and that's hanging in my office at Mallala.
Fantastic.
Awesome. It's almost my first motorsport event, and now I'm at that track running it and trying to get my passion out there, which I think is slowly getting across. That get past that barrier. The hardest bit is making that first phone call, sending that first email, or rocking up to the gates that first time and just having a go. Mate, I should shut up and let you ask.
No, but it is a good point because
you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, and because I definitely think what's something that we've never done before. Like I don't know, just pick any sport, archery, and I can't imagine that the pressure that you'd feel turning up to an archery course, yard, whatever, wherever you shoot arrows, but turning up there for the first time,
archery,
not knowing anyone, not really knowing what you're doing, not knowing how. Like, it'd be easy just to stay home and not do it, and just think I'd like to be Robin Hood, but never actually do anything about it. And I totally get that. That's good.
Well, a couple of months ago, so before this COVID stuff come in, but anyway, I ran what I called a mystery event on the skid pan out at Mallala. So it was $50 entry, and I limited it to 20 cars. And it was just basically a motorcarner, an untimed motorcarner. So no pressure. I advertised it as you could drift or grip or whatever you want. There'd be a couple of professional drivers on hand. Me. But
you technically get paid.
Technically, I can fly. And so out of those 20 people, 13 of them were brand new first-time competitors.
Wow.
And they'd always wanted to have a go, but they felt too much pressure. Everyone would be watching me and laughing at me, and the main track, watching the drift practice and the grip practice, they're just so fast, and you think, I can't do that. So, one of the biggest things is thinking everyone's watching me and I'm not good enough, they're going to laugh at me. And throughout the day, as the people were having their drives, every single one after the first drive just got this biggest grin on their face, the smile. Yeah. And when you're chatting to them throughout the day, you're asking them, hey, just look around. Everyone's in their own world. No one's watching that car out on track, except maybe one or two people. Everyone's already all their own little world, worried about themselves. What my tyre pressure's like? Did I shower today? Is that girl over there giving me a wink? Whatever. And now, with that pressure off, I had 5 of those drivers into the drift practice that same evening. More money in our pocket. They'd always wanted to go drifting, but it just looked too scary and too fast, and they didn't feel confident enough. Going into confident on a small skid pan, away they went. And another one entered the grip practice that day. So it just goes to show that, that hardest step is getting out there, realising that no one gives a shit except for yourself. Like most sports, golf's a big one, I guess, isn't it? Where they say you're competing against yourself. You're always trying to lower your handicap. Yes, you want to win the game, but you're always watching your own times and your own performance. Yes, you're racing against other people, but at the end of the day, it's you versus you. So many computer games. The ghost car is a classic in a computer game, isn't it? Yeah. Racing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think, I know we've mentioned this before, but I think on the rally side of things with the Adelaide Rally and Tim's event having started with the challenge categories and even the tour classes and that for rallying, the barrier to entry for rally, when I was growing up in the old classic Adelaide days was incredibly high because you needed a rally car and a full cage and a co-driver and helmets and the whole work. And that's just an impossible step to make if you haven't done it your whole life. But now when you can go out in a tour group and you can drive and you can get a feel for road books and time cards, and then you can gradually work your way up. And you look now to, I can think of a bunch of guys that are now in full competition in tarmac rallying that started off doing tours and very introductory level stuff and have just kind of got sucked up the path. And I think it's great that those channels are really exist now and are being promoted. I think it's really cool.
I'm a classic example of falling into that trap. Okay. A big part of what I'm doing is to try and stop people doing what I did. So I'm trying to decide how to word this. I'm on my second wife because the first one was practice. Now I know what I'm doing. I think. So with the first one, when I brought home my first Celica, she said to me, "What the hell was that?" And when I brought home the 7th, she said, "It's me on the cars." Now she was a good cook, but the second one is much better.
Yes, she's lovely.
Yes, she is. I'd be lost without her. So freshly divorced. And in love with Celicas as I still am. A mate showed me this tarmac rally Celica that had done Targa Tasmania. Well, you can't be a race car driver without a race car, can you? So I had to buy a race car. So $15,000 later, on a drive over to Mudgee, New South Wales, I had a race car. Yay!
Yeah.
Now what? So I sort of did a bit of Googling. The internet was around then. And car clubs and cams. Okay. So found a car club and went to a couple. And one of them I went to was a Classic Celica Club of South Australia. And I asked them, "Hey, I want to be a race car driver." And they said, "Oh, yeah, we can help you with that. We're CAMS affiliated, Federation of Australian Motorsport, and we can get you a racing car license." Excellent.
Are you allowed to say CAMS now?
Well, it was then.
Motorsport Australia.
Technicality.
So they gave me a form. So what do I do with this? So it was all I'm not having a go. Like, they really tried to help me, but none of them were competing themselves. Didn't really have any idea what to do. So that's when I found the Motorcarna and went and did that in my full tarmac spec Celica, wearing a suit and everything, like an idiot. You can do these events in short and t-shirt and no helmet. But, I wanted to learn. Where do I start? And then I went and did this track day out of Mallala, which was really good. But all the theory, it was all stuff I knew, and I'm thinking, this is good. And he said to me, "Where have you learned all this?" PlayStation. It's legit. It is really good training. A lot of those games are. And then a mate and I were driving through the Adelaide Hills one weekend, and as you do, best road
speed,
as you used to do.
And we come up to this T-junction, and as well, waiting to see some traffic coming, and a Ferrari comes. Boom. Stick it up, cage. And we were waiting to turn right, left, boom, after him. So we chased this guy for, it wasn't a special day, by the way, it wasn't, it was open road transport. But yeah, we chased him for, I don't know, 5, 10 K or something. And then he pulled up at the start of the stage. And we got out and started talking to him, and really nice bloke, and chatted to a few of the drivers and walked up to the start line and watched cars take off. And that's what I learned about Southern District Car Club, and come to a meeting and come to our track. And yeah, before I knew it, I saw all these cheap cars. I didn't need my $15,000 car. I could do this in a $200 car. Where have I been? Why didn't I know about this when I was 12 years old? From 12 you can start, The amount of cars I would have saved. No, I probably would have smashed more, actually. But in all seriousness, touch wood, I haven't had a speeding fine since I started motorsport 10 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Don't need to speed on the road. I got a cheap outlet. You can go speed for $50 or $100 or $150 or, fraction of the cost of a speeding ticket and lasts all day.
Yeah.
So I think, Andrew, we need to get into some of these cheap cars.
Yeah, I
think that's where we're leading. I know. Way into the $200.
I guarantee in a few minutes we're all going to be distracted. We'll have another tab open and we'll be just hunting Gumtree for different things.
Yeah, but it's podcast to be Gumtree searching stuff.
Gumtree searching, yeah. But it's definitely a point, and it's quite amazing that you found that just through pure chance. Like you happened to be at that junction at the time, and if you had been 5 minutes later or earlier, who knows?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So
it's such a hidden secret, and nobody's trying to hide it, but it is.
No. So I guess that's a nice segue. So what was Festi, the Festiva? Was Festi your first cheap car, or was that the latest in a long string of?
The first cheap car was a a Sigma. We bought a $500 Sigma GH from a deceased one lady owner. Still had a 1983 registration sticker on the windscreen.
It's a really rare car now.
Well, 93. It had been garaged for 17 years or whatever. The tyres were so hard. It was immaculate. So we stripped the out of it.
No.
Interior was perfect.
Yeah.
Ripped that out.
And 3 of us raced it, a mate and a cousin and myself, and we'd every event we'd do something else to it, like had rally tyres, had a suede steering wheel for $70 off eBay, and I had some more stickers to it, and we'll put a little wing on the back, and the motor. At one point we took the head off, shaved that, took out the balance shaft, carbies. Now, through the power of the internet, we found a bloke, Scotty, in Sydney, who built a set of GSXR 750 motorbike carbies bolted on the side of the block. Mental. And the sound, the induction noise. And yeah, the 3 of us would drive out a car, because a lot of these events probably haven't made clear. You can have up to 4 drivers per car. So there's only 1 car on track at a time, or maybe 2, but you get 1 car leaves, then another car leaves a minute later. But you might be car 4, 14, 24, and 34, for example. So you're all in the same car, on the same day, on the same track, with no excuses. Because we all love our go-karting, don't we? We all love go-karting, and I like go-karting. You always had better tyres. I can see everybody on the straight. I had no brakes. When you're all in the same car, on the same day, on the same track, there's no bullshit. It's just, yeah. Well, you always got excuses. But
Yeah. Oh, the sun got my eyes as I was going into the apex.
We just had so much fun in that car. And then one day, Craig, my mate, he was working away at the mines. So he wasn't going to be there for this particular event on a weekend, and I really wanted to race it. But I dare not drive the car in case it broke while he wasn't there, because, it's just,
He's in on it.
Yeah. So I bought a little, I think it was a Ford Festiva. I don't even remember what it was, actually. Ford Festiva, yeah. It must have been, that's 2festi. Anyway,
First Festi. Yeah.
$200. Bought it home, made flames on the bonnet. We took it down to Lanark Park the next day, and we actually ended up with 5 of us driving it. We got permission from the clerk, of course, to allow someone else to drive it, even though the regs only said 4. So 5 of us drove it for the day. And then at the end of the day, we're just going to take it to the wreckers, because we only paid $150 or $200 for it. I think it was $150. And the Southern District's running a junior development program to teach kids 12 to 17 about motorsport and how to drive a car and car control. It's a very awesome program that I think every kid in the state should do, but that's a whole other aspect there. Yeah. And at the end of the day, Felicity, wonderful lady who ran the junior development program for many years, asked, "Are you seriously throwing that car away?" We're like, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, I'd offer you for the JDP." So she wrote us a check for $150, whatever we paid for it, or whatever a record was going to give us. And we gave her the car. It's still doing JDP today with the flames on the bottom. It's still there.
It was race proven.
Yes. My little brother got airtime in the photo of getting air into the centre of the track.
Did you have any pictures of that, Andrew? From
not of that one. No, this is a bit before my time. I've got 2festi.
That's how it started. I thought 500 was cheap, but then I wanted a cheap car just this one weekend.
Yeah,
and then I learned about disposable race cars.
So, was it destroyed afterwards, or was it?
No, it's still good.
Yeah. These cars are surprisingly stout. I've been very impressed, like how generally stout most cars are, and how much abuse they will actually take.
I guess it's like buying a packet of M&Ms, and you put 2 together and you crush them. And then the one that survives, you put it into another one, you keep crushing until you find the winner, the strongest M&M.
I've never done that before.
I've never done that before.
Winner!
I might go upstairs and get some M&Ms.
Guys, I don't leave. Anyway. Same thing with cars.
What have I been doing with my life?
Yeah. The ones that are 15, 20 years old that are still around are the survivors. Yeah. They are the tough M&M.
And you try and crush them, literally.
And like that tough M&M, they're sort of a bit they've had a bit of a rough life, and there's a bit rough around the edges, maybe a crack or two, and fingerprints a bit rubbed off, but they're still good.
Wow. Anyway, yeah. So I guess we might it's a good segue. We might as well jump into 2festi.
Yeah,
and I guess the thing which 2festi, I guess while Damo has his Milo, I can fill in, is basically this was my first, and to be fair, my first and so far only really cheap kind of car experience. We were go-karting one night, Saturday night go-karting, and there was an event on the Sunday, and the go-karts wrapped up, and I think we're all kind of still itching to keep going.
Yeah.
And then the penny dropped. We're like, hey, can we buy a car tonight and just turn up at this event tomorrow? And I think, Dammy, tell me, it actually ended up cheaper. By the time we'd split the car 4 ways, it was myself, you, Mark Williams, and Patrick Chan, the 4 of us.
Yes.
But by the time we split this car 4 ways and paid the entry fee for the event, that cost us less than our 45 minutes of go-karting that we've done that Saturday night.
$85 for a Grand Prix, and the car cost us $200, so that's $50 each, $25 entry, and we put $5 fuel in it.
Yeah, it came with half a tank of fuel, didn't it? That's right.
We did put fuel in, had to drive from the other side of town, but
and it was registered.
Yeah, and it had rego. Yeah. So it cost us $80 each for the day instead of $85 for go-karting, and we had a car at the end of it.
So I've got some photos that I'll bring up, but well, I mean, I remember that we were negotiating with this guy, and I was pretty sure he was out at a nightclub or something. It's like 10, 11 p.m. at night, and we're sort of saying we'll buy it as long as we can pick it up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I think he was. I think we went for 7 o'clock initially, and he was like, "No, I can't do that." And we settled on 8 or something.
Oh no! From the message, looking at the message the other day, you took a photo of it and you put it up. So it was 8:30. He's like, "Yeah, that's cool." And when we rocked up, he was pinging hard. He'd had a good time.
Let's bring in 2festi.
So this is the famous 2festi. So it was a gravel motorcar at Lanark Park, which basically they used this rallycross track, and they set up cones and sort of, it was a bit of a driving test through the cones with lots of handbrake turns and reverse entry skids and all of the things. And this little,
it looks like there's a fair bit of effort on the paintwork there. Like there's a bonnet color and racing stripes and
that was some gaffer tape we had lying around. So on the way down there, and we didn't have enough. So that's why it's green and yellow, because there wasn't enough one colour to do the whole car.
Oh, look at that.
And so, Damo, can you just talk us through? So the picture for those listening on audio, the car is on 3 wheels, opposite lock, right rear wheel about a foot in the air, with Damo behind the wheel looking sort of at a 45-degree left angle at the direction of travel. How did that end up? Do you remember?
I've got no idea, to be honest, but I'm guessing I've come out of a right-hander before it, and I've bounced up off the bank on the left-hand side and just kept it pinned and carried as much momentum as I can.
Yeah,
$200 car, who cares?
Yeah, and so I guess my journey with that car ended at the end of that day. We said our farewells to the poor 2festi, and that was that. But obviously that car still lives, doesn't it?
You never paid me the $50 for your share.
Oh, really? Do I still owe you that? Oh no. Okay, I'll owe you. I'll transfer you that now.
Andrew, let's start a podcast next minute. My daddy owes everyone money.
But in a way, that's a part of it, that it's so cheap that it doesn't matter. Like, how many drivers went through 2festi? That car had, every event that car did had the 3 or 4 drivers in it. It was just, who wants to go racing? I haven't got a car. That's all right. Come racing mine, mate. So I lost count of how many drivers that had in it.
Does 2festi still exist?
No. Oh, hang on. 2festi. Yes. 2festi does.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should do like what all those classic racing drivers do, where they have like every single person who's driven it down the side.
Well, I started,
Yeah.
And then there were just too many, and it was just too hard because the stickers were costing more than it was worth. You know, $5 or $10 or whatever.
Well, I'm sure we can fund that. We've got some final cutting skills.
So this car, we're talking here, what, 20 days of racing. It did Mount Alma hill climb. It did Wollonga hill climb. It did. In fact, I remember at Mallala, was that a day we did a time Top Gear shootout at Mallala. Remember that 2 or 3 laps each in 2festi to see who could get the best.
We were timing ourselves while we were left.
Yeah.
And then we were writing the times on the bonnet because it was just spray painted matte black and just write it with chalk. And just doing hot laps in it. And we starved the engine of oil. So by the end of the day, it was not happy and limped at home. And that was the start of, I guess, the whole 2festi adventure, where instead of going to a wreckers like all the other cars, it went onto a mate's front lawn. Love you, Dale. And so I should probably introduce Dale Neighbour, my co-driver, mechanic, car builder, best mate, dead set legend, single and available, and decent looking. Put a photo up. Someone put a photo up.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find one, Andrew.
Yeah. Go ticking.
So where was I going before? I was trying to get Dale a date.
Front lawn. It ended up on front lawn with so many other.
I don't know why. I don't really know why we kept it. I don't know why. We'd fallen in love with it somehow. But
yeah,
the Ford Festiva, it was the 90s when they built those. So it's a Kia chassis with a Mazda motor, a Mitsubishi ECU, and a Ford badge. So the only Ford thing about it is that little badge on the front. And the 1.3 little Mazda motor, well, that's a B series motor, and Dale had heard all the B series motors and gearboxes are interchangeable. So let's try it out. So we found a motor on Gumtree for $200, a B6T, a 1.6 litre turbo out of a Ford Capri, and it just bolted straight in. It was like it was factory. Yeah, speechless. So, suddenly had 115 kilowatts and the car weighed nothing, and the clutch just couldn't handle it. So we bought another Festiva for $135 with Rego and drove that home, stripped it on Dale's front lawn, and then we pulled out the gearbox out of the 1.5, the big block, so the gearbox so it could get a bigger flywheel, so it could fit a bigger clutch. Power steering rack. We didn't hook up the power steering, but 3 turns lock to lock instead of 4, so quick rack. Clear indicators, like full, roof racks. What else did we get off? A couple of good things. So we had up at you pull it. We got like $500 worth of gear off this car, and then the wreckers came around and picked it up and gave us $100. So it cost us $35 for all these parts. It was a bargain. Then went to Adelaide All Brake and Clutch in St Mary's here. They're legends. They can pretty much sort anything, and they built a custom clutch for us for $600. So it's a $200 car, $200 motor, running a $600 clutch, and it just. So the first time I drove it up Wollonga Hill, old Wollonga hill climb, in my class, 2 to 4 litre modified. So I'm up against Skylines and Silvias and shit. Only one of them beat me. We're all looking at this car going, what the fuck is that?
Well, that's probably the quickest a Capri motor's ever gone.
Yes. And a big secret in the car going fast is I don't give a shit about it. I mean, I do care about my own safety. It might not look like it, but I do. But if the car's rubbing Armco or rocks or whatever, who cares? So that's a big secret of motorsport, isn't it? Don't race anything you can't afford to throw away. Yeah. Bring a bit of seriousness back there. Yeah. But
I reckon we've lost Andrew.
We have too, yes.
No, he's disappeared.
Oh, well, we'll get him back. As long as we're still here. Yes.
We're still here. We'll boot him out for now.
We'll do what, sorry?
I'll boot him out of there.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Yeah.
So, half the fun is pedaling something underpowered as hard as you can, but 2festi isn't underpowered. But I think Andrew was touching on it earlier that driving an underpowered car, so driving 2festi, driving the Excel, driving all these shit boxes, really teaches you good racecraft, because you have to squeeze the times out. If you're not maximising your braking and you're turning in and you're apexing and coming out and looking ahead, not just planning this corner but the next one and the next one, looking sequences ahead. I don't do any of that. I'm just talking this way.
This is what you should be doing. Well, yeah, I mean, it is. It's more about racecraft than about how quick your car can go A to B.
Yes.
You know, the car's not going to pick up for your mistakes. So,
yes, and a really powerful car will mask the driver, or can, because it's just got that much power and handles that well that you just get between the corners so quick, and it does half the work getting around the corner for you. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, hang on. I think we got Andrew back. Here he is.
I'm back. Hey. Minor technical. It's all good.
Yeah, send the homing pigeon back from the UK.
Yeah.
He didn't miss much. Yes.
Yeah, so we just spoke a little bit, Andrew, just about like how crap cars and motorsport is a good thing for driver skills and teaching how to keep momentum and use the brakes properly and plan and do all that kind of stuff and throw the cars about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So
I mean, I guess people say it's the old fast car. Sorry, the slow car fast. It's more fun to drive a slow car fast. But if you take that to the extreme, it's more fun to drive a very, very slow car very, very fast. Nada.
Is that leading to the Excel? Is it?
Well, yeah,
absolutely.
The accelerator. Let me
bring up a picture of that.
I'll try and bring this picture up again.
Well, after a long succession of $200 bangers, one of them a 121. I had a couple of 121s. They're fantastic cars. So we'd fried the motor, Adelaide Rally sprint with my lovely wife co-driving for me. And there was another event coming up, and she wanted a new car, and she had an Excel. So we bought her a new car. She bought herself a new car. And her old car, Excel, she gave to me. Now, this is a car she bought pretty much when she first came to Australia, and had driven from Sydney to Perth to Melbourne to Sydney to Perth, like been across Australia so many times. And she loved that car because it, looked after her. And boy, did that car look after me. So basically, it was a 4-door single cam Excel. There are too many doors and not enough cams. And we dynoed it actually at a Classic Sleeker Club dyno day one day, 42.4 kilowatts at the wheel. Yeah. Not wheels, wheel, yes.
Wheel.
And we pretty much just bolted a set of second-hand rally tyres on it, and mud flaps and a suede steering wheel and gaffer tape racing stripes and stickers. And Dale and I, Nish did a few events with me in it. And Dale and I in 2016 won the South Australian Rally Sprint Series over 5 rounds. Excuse me.
Wow. And I think that the pictures that we've got on the screen for those that can't obviously are on the audio, anyone that's been around, rallying in Australia, and particularly South Australia, will be familiar with Jack's jump, and it's a particular jump in the Mount Crawford Forest in South Australia. It's a scary jump. When you come up at it, it's a roller coaster, a real huge dip, and then a big tabletop off. And you don't need to be going that fast to launch, but it kind of got its name because Jack Monkhouse was quite famous for getting hitting it very hard, but it has sending it, but it has a very steep descent, so you kind of crest the tabletop. And then you kind of land down a steep hill, and then there's a reasonably sharp right-hand bend right at the bottom of it. So it's a matter of kind of sort of sailing through the air, touching down, and then sort of scrabbling for whatever grip or traction you can get before sort of setting the car up and powering through this right-hand bend.
You make it sound scary.
Well, I was going to say, but as a result, most people generally tend to go pretty easy over it because it can go awfully wrong. But except we were there, I took this photo, we were there, and we heard this poor Excel being thrashed within an inch of its life, and no lift for nothing over the jump.
I couldn't afford to. And for those looking at the photo or weren't able to see the photo, to the left of the car, to the right of the photo, that sign says triple caution.
Yeah.
So you have caution, which means slow down. double caution, which means, dude, seriously, slow down. And triple caution, like, dude, if you don't slow the fuck down, we're going to die. So that's the triple caution board, and next to it is an orange arrow pointing 90 degrees right, which indicates that there's triple caution, slow the fuck down, or things are going to happen. And as soon as over that crest is a hard right-hand turn. But like Jack, I'm trying to explain how to. Jack is a legend, and so watching Jack's air over it is just like, man can pedal. And there's a few people. There's some serious photos. Gavin Fowler's another one with his little dado from the back, and it's just looked like it's going to the moon. It's that far in the air; it doesn't seem physically possible. And the photographers as well, like, you know, I know what you boys are like. It's like a good dick pic. You know how to get a good angle, you know. Allegedly. But in saying that you describe it as a tabletop jump. So you don't want to land on the top of it. It's very hard. You want to clear it and land on the downslope. And then when you land on the downslope, it's just a dab of brake and tip it in and around that corner and you're laughing. You know, again, sounds easy, but if you've got the confidence, there's that balancing act between being overconfident and, you know, not confident. You don't want to be too confident. So, like you say, coming up to that jump, there was no lift for nothing. I couldn't afford to. I knew I needed every kilometre I could over that. I wanted to hit it with another 10 or 15 kilometres an hour, but I was happy with what it did.
I think my favourite thing about... Oh, go on, Luke. Sorry,
I was going to say that was my first experience at Jack's jump. And, you know, I remember seeing Jack and going, far out, that's crazy.
You're literally looking up at the car almost.
Yeah, you're looking at the car. And, seeing the Excel flying was just the greatest thing ever. It was fantastic.
And the thing I love is the cheers in the background of this photo. If I zoom in, it's the
I don't think anybody
that sums it up.
Slide the car, but I don't think anyone enjoyed it more than those of us who were standing on the jump. It was just fantastic.
Yeah,
that video, that's a good video as well. Yes.
So I guess it's an interesting point because, and you know, if we're talking about this thing about it's actually a lot easier to do very cool things than sort of people would think in rally. So that was around, correct me wrong, that was around of the Australian Rally Championship. And you were in the introductory class, which ran a small selection of the forestry stages after the main cars. But, you know, so you weren't competing in a national rally, but you were effectively, you know, on the same stages as the top rally drivers in Australia and the factory cars driving the same bits of road, unlimited, go for gold, you know, don't need a roll cage, don't need seats and belts, you know, all of this sort of stuff that people think are massive barriers to going and having a crack in the forest. You can buy a couple of $100 XL and go and turn up and do it at these big events. You know, not all of them, of course, but some of them.
I don't know if I'd recommend that jump in the way that I did it. I must give you a little disclaimer. So when I started motorsport in 2010, I immediately jumped into the co-driver's seat. One of the first things I did. That's a cheap way to get into motorsport. When you're sliding off the road and panels just being peeled off by trees, you're just thinking, not my car, you know. Just been there, done that. Assume the position. So I'd done that rally in that stage, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So come 2016 when we did it in the Excel, I knew that stage like the back of my hand. I knew that jump. I knew exactly what speed we need to go over. I knew exactly what to do. That car, that was probably the 16th event in that car or something I'd done. I knew that car like the back of my hand. It handled like a dream. You know, I knew exactly what was going on. I wanted another 10 or 15K. Because you see the bounce on the land, you know. God, we were giggling like schoolgirls in the car. We should find me on board, giggling like schoolgirls. But that's motorsport. It's all controlled risks. It might look insane, but that was all very, very controlled. And both Dan and I knew exactly what was going on. But again, like you're saying, I think that's around the Australian Rally Championship and the South Australian Rally Championship where you can be on the same roads at the same time as Australian champions. There's not many sports in the world you can do that.
No. The NBA or something.
Yeah, no.
And I guess like obviously, you're taking it to the very extreme by doing it in an Excel and, all of this sort of stuff. But I mean, if you were to let's say have maybe a slight more seriousness and you've got a WRX or you've got a GT4 Celica or a kind of a car that, might be sort of semi-prepared as a nice kind of, thing for that type of use, you can actually go and really get a good taste of what it's like. It's,
and you're not going there to try to smash a car. That's motorsport is. I'll sort of try to explain it this way. He says going in a roundabout weird circle, and everyone's going, "Where's he going with this?" Yes. So every time I'm co-driving and I'm going with a new driver I haven't driven before, you sound them out, and you want to know who you're jumping in with. And the first question I ask is, trophies or fun? And if they're in it for trophies, that's a warning signal. Like, they're prepared to push. But if they're in it for fun and shits and giggles, the risk has all of a sudden gone down because that they're just in it for shits and giggles, having fun. And if trophies happen, great. But when you go hunting them, that's when the risk increases and the cost increases, and that's when you can just open your checkbook. So if you're in motorsport for results, it costs a fortune. If you're in motorsport for fun, do it and smell of an oily rag,
Yeah. So I guess that's an interesting point you raised, because while we talk about trophy hunting, it's probably good to talk about Adelaide Rally last year with Michael Busby, because I have noticed when I was sort of looking back at what you've done, your motorsport has become progressively more serious as the years have gone on, which I think is good. I mean, obviously you have your own rally car, which we'll touch on in a minute, but you talk about while we're on the co-driving, and you guys, Michael has won a couple of times now and has a very clinical, methodical, scientific approach to sort of getting the job done, and he has. What was that like, actually, sort of taking the fun and silly hat off and putting the let's go win hat on?
Well, I signed a non-disclosure agreement with Peter Busby, Michael's dad, so I can't talk about that, unfortunately. Well, I was extremely honoured to be asked, because Buzz could ask, any co-driver in Australia and they'd jump alongside him, previous winner of that event. And his usual co-driver, Peter Caldecott, unfortunately wasn't available. And, it was actual dream. It's Classic Adelaide. That's what I bought my Celica for, to do Classic Adelaide, like you were talking about before. Now you've got these feeder classes that make it a lot easier. But back in the day, you need a full competition car, and doing Classic Adelaide Rally was a childhood dream. And so to sit in a potentially winning car with a top driver, and knowing his driving and knowing his prep and knowing his car, knowing his history, mate, he could have had a stack of potatoes alongside him. He would have won, dude. But seriously, it was just a mate. I don't know if I should tell this story, but I will.
These are the best ones.
I hope he's not listening. So the first night, my mate Dale, he was service crewing for us. And so each night he lives a bit further south than me, would leave the city, he'd drop me off at home, we'd chat for half an hour, and then he'd go off. And the first night I said to him, mate, it's nothing special. It's just good notes. That's all Buzz is doing. It's just really good notes and committing to them. You or I could do that. It's just good notes. And we know the value of good notes. And making good notes, that's the hard bit, because he writes his own notes.
Yeah.
And then day 2, Thursday, Dale dropped me off, and I said to Dale, it's more than good notes. Like, he can drive. You could do it. I don't know if I could. Friday, I said to Dale when he dropped me off, I said, I don't know, dude. You might be able to match him, but man can pedal. Saturday, I just said, holy fuck. I couldn't do it. Up that Lofty run on a Saturday morning, phenomenal. Yeah. And the whole
sorry.
So
was just going to say Mount Lofty, we've spoken about this road before, but it is the iconic rally stage of Adelaide. It's 10-15 minutes out of the CBD. It's the road that everyone drives, all the time. Everyone knows it like the back of their hand, especially Busby, Michael, who's learned to drive on that road. and
the whole 4 days of the rally, there was not one mistake from him, not one turning too early or too late or block of brake or nothing, not a single mistake. Like, he is a machine. So again, a sack of potatoes could have sat alongside him. I was just honoured to be there and living the dream. That final stage, Andy Sarandis, who you had on a couple of weeks ago as a guest, last week before, time flies. He did some awesome helis in Rundle Street on the very last stage of the very last day, and we were last car across the line. All us classic boys decided to hang around in the parklands and do a bit of old school cross the finish line in order. So when we rolled through, we had decided we are just rolling through. We are not risking mechanical damage. After all of this, that is the spot where you can throw a rally away. That stage wasn't somewhere we were going to win the rally. That stage was somewhere we were going to lose the rally. So we did not do any sort of slides or burnouts or donuts or roll through, which in a way made it even better.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything to prove on that last stage. It was just
no.
Wave out, hand out the window, wave to everyone, and thank you for being out there, which was pretty cool.
And you should mention the competition, because to win and be thought of so highly, you've got to have that competition. And the competition behind us, or often in front of us, all around us, the whole event, it was all shifting. I'm glad I'm a co-driver in certain situations, because I was out of my league as a driver, I think.
I think one of the things that I saw from that event from you was just your appreciation for the officials for that event, because I know that they were struggling a little bit to get like road closure officials and stuff. I mean, that happens everywhere in motorsport, where they're not getting paid to do it and they're volunteering. But what is it you actually did? Like, run people through what you did? Andrew, did you have a picture of that?
I'll get it up. I'll get one up.
Well, that's just, I guess, like when I first started in motorsport and classic Salika club, because the cruisers and Salikas and nice group, and Southern District's nice group of people as well, but competition. They did a lot of competition. So I was always going to their meetings. I quickly become a competition secretary. I was president for 3 years there. So I have a great appreciation for officials, because without officials, there's no event. You need organisers, officials and competitors. You don't need spectators. Like, we love spectators, and spectators are awesome, and that's half the reason we do it, the spectators.
Yeah.
But you need organisers, officials and competitors. Now, organisers, that's the whole story in itself. You need to love it, to all that effort in unpaid generally. And the volunteers as well. Now, they're generally unpaid as well. But again, they have to really love the motorsport. And it can be tough finding them to get out there and sit out there for hours and hours and hours just to watch one car go past, boom, and then 2 minutes later another one, boom, or even that stage gets cancelled and they don't get to see anything. So, and the officials out on the road closures, we're going past a 3 right, T-junction turn 3 right. We don't even see those officials there. Oh, actually, on 3 right, we will do donuts there. Let's say let's say keep 8 right. Okay, we won't see them. So there's so many officials out there that you don't see, the timing and all the background, that I just always, every rally I've done, I've always tried to thank as many as I can and put a smile on their face, because without them, I'm not having a smile on my face. Like, I need them, and I want them to not necessarily remember me, but remember that event, that someone smiled at them and appreciated them, and that might be the thing that will bring them back next time,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Here we go, just bring it up.
Yeah, my time card on my road book, I normally get a big thick black text and write on the back of it something like that, and with a bit of some kisses or a smiley face or something. Or
a thank you message.
Something to make people smile. And I just always hold it up to the window, or sometimes I'll honk the horn and get someone to walk over, and then I'll hold it up for them, and just to break up their day.
Yeah. Yeah,
I guess in an event like that, it is like people are on the clock. They're pushing. They're trying to win events. They're trying to do something, and sometimes the officials just get left behind as just that's a traffic cone on the side of the road. Like, hey, I'm focused. I'm going. So
well, like I hear a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot of people. Some people talking about all this COVID that motorsport, we should be able to go out there. It's fine. We're fine. And yes, we are. Us competitors, we get our metal and glass isolation booth and put a helmet and gloves on and go out in a paddock full of UV for the day, or not in the UK, but here in Australia, we've got UV. Might have heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's all the
I'm fast forgetting about it.
It's all the officials and organisers that are tucked in these little rooms and flag points and timing and control tower. They're the ones that you don't see, and they're the ones that are doing all the work. Most competitors only see themselves and the course and what they see out there. They don't see all this background work that goes on and all the hard work.
Yeah.
Some do, for sure, and plenty do. Yeah, and plenty recognise it and say thanks and everything. You also often see thank you volunteers on the back of people's cars and all sorts of stuff. I'm not the only one that does it. But, I like to make a point of doing it. Yes.
And I think and look, I know that anyone who's done this, that most people often feel very bad about it. But I think as well, in motorsport, people do make mistakes, and sometimes officials, something happens, and this is particularly at professional levels, or probably actually what's worse, the sort of the semi-professional, just a step or two below the professional levels, kind of forget that these people aren't being paid, and they're here because they want to be here, and you've got a pretty good job, and maybe something hasn't gone your way, but also just sort of step back and look at the situation and just bear that in mind. But look, hey, we've all been there in the heat of the moment. People probably get a bit caught up in the situation, but well,
that's when you're in it for fun, you don't. When you're in it for trophies, you do. Yes. Well, that was one of the things I must admit, driving with Busby and some of my co-driving, when you know you're in it for trophies, yes, you're still having an absolute ball, but you're in it for trophies. It does change. The mode changes because everything is serious. Yes, you can still have a laugh and mess around, but you can't miss anything. You've got to be 100% on it. Yeah, the slightest mistake, a technicality can cost you an event. Yeah.
I still remember, I was there at the finish line taking the photos as everyone sort of rolled across the finish line, and the look on Michael's face. You look quite happy and quite jovial that we finished and we won and all this. And I remember Buzz just walking up to him, and I was quite happy that you guys had done well, and he just looked relieved. It was almost like he'd come here to do a job, and the job was done, and he can go home and rest now. Like it was just that look of relief and sort of satisfaction. And
how much has he told you?
Not that much, no. But
we've got to get him on and get him to tell the story, because it's quite a.
Oh, I know about the
Yeah.
There was more to it than
He was in pain. And it's raining here.
Yeah, we're getting a bit of rain. Sorry if you're getting a bit of rain in the background. Can I
just acknowledge that we've actually got blue skies and sunshine? So let's just take a moment to.
He's got a lamp outside the window shining in.
Those big cinema ones shining. But.
Well, I don't know if Buzz will tell the story. I don't know if Buzz will tell the story correctly, so I'm going to tell it for him. All right. So, on day one, Buzz lives up in the Adelaide Hills. Every day he's going up and down. He works down the Adelaide Plains. His ears handle it. You go up, down. I've got ears that give me all sorts of problems. They always go pop and and the pain. And on the first day we went up the hills, and when we come back down, Buzz's ears wouldn't pop back. And he went, my ears won't pop back. And I'm like, I know that pain, dude. I can feel it now starting to come, just talking about it. I just thought, that'll fix itself overnight. But it was enough for him to mention it. And then Thursday, he mentioned that it still hadn't popped, and it was really painful. Friday, he was struggling. Like, you could see he was in serious pain all day from this ear not popping, and it was really, really hurting. Yeah. And then Saturday morning, I think it was at the first break, his ear finally popped. Well, it was blood and clear fluid coming out of it.
Oh.
So
and this is why you're in a rally car, like
Yeah.
with helmets and balaclavas. And
it burst an eardrum, and it abscessed and starting to not be good. You know, potentially lose your hearing.
Yeah.
So we kept rallying. So and
Wow.
so when that last day, the amount of pain he was in, it was stinking hot as well. He just couldn't move in a way. So he just didn't want to get in and out of the car, and the car we had starting problems all week, rally car, all these problems. But the amount of pain he was in, so that last day really was a battle and a struggle to get it to the line. So his performance was amazing, but when you put that in consideration, it's another level again, another level.
That last day of the rally was basically the stages were all up and down the face of the hills. So it was going from the highest point of South Australia to the, almost, not much above sea level, to higher to low, just doing loops, laps up and down all day, and that's the worst possible day for something like that. That's incredible.
Dale and I did offer that Dale was prepared to drive, I was prepared to drive, and Dale could have co-drove, and Buzz just jumped in at the last minute so he can cross the line. But he knew he had it.
Yeah.
He had it.
Yeah.
I think he had a few people offer him.
He didn't offer me a drive through that last section like Andy got offered.
Yeah. So I guess it's a question. If people have been listening now and they want to get involved, how do they get involved? What's the step? So let's say you've never been to an event before, you want to go and learn how to do a handbrake turn, you want to go and get yourself on track. What do you do? What's the first step? And how much is it going to cost? What's involved?
Can I say the first step?
Yes.
Leave your ego at home and come ready to learn and be humble.
Yeah.
So this is the first step.
Well, really the hardest bit is finding that place to start, which is somewhere like Mallala or the car clubs we mentioned earlier, Southern Districts Car Club, Walkerville Cars Club, any of the car clubs. You want a car club that's Motorsport Australia affiliated. So they used to be called CAMS, Confederation of Australian Motorsport. Now they've changed their name to Motorsport Australia. And so Motorsport Australia, we can't shorten that. It's Motorsport Australia. So Motorsport Australia have affiliated car clubs. Those car clubs can run events, and this year with a racing car license. And a racing car license is as simple as filling out a simple form, signing it, paying you $120, take a selfie, email it into CAMS, Motorsport Australia.
You could just call them
No, we can't. That's Motorcycling Australia, MA. So Motorsport Australia have come to an agreement with them where they will never use MA. MA is Motorcycling Australia. Motorsport Australia is Motorsport Australia. So let's get that clear, right? Now, so basically, you fill out a form, take a photo of yourself, send it with $120 or and it comes back in the post. You're a race car driver. It's that simple. You don't need a driving license. You can have lost your license for speeding, drinking, being a whatever. It doesn't matter. From 12 years old, you're a race car driver like that. And then it's just entering events, which is all these different car clubs will run events. There's a calendar released by Motorsport Australia each year. Google will help you find them. Mallala Motorsport, their website, the Bend, both of these tracks hold events that rookies can get into. And it's the hardest bit is breaking into that scene. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're already broken in. Away you go. So it's get out to one of these car clubs, watch an event. You don't have to watch one. Just ring up, talk to someone, send a message, put your entry in, rock up, and they'll help you through it. There's 98+% of people in motorsport are really nice people. There's always that small element of tickets, but really,
but that's a mirror of life, really.
Yeah. But the vast majority are really, really nice people, and especially I find rally. It's a real camaraderie, isn't it? We're all out in the forest, and if someone breaks their car, you want to lend your part so they can finish the rally. And but I find drifting's a lot the same. And Mallala as well is sort of seems to be a tighter knit community. It's almost like it's not circuit. They're too friendly to be circuit boys. But the hardest bit is, getting out to those first events where you're paying a $50 entry or $100 entry or $150 entry, and that first event is the hardest. That's the hardest step. Once you've done that first event and realised, gee, it's this easy, I could do that, and no one laughed at me and I didn't finish last, away you go. And there's nothing wrong with finishing last. I've finished last plenty of times. Do you want the 2018 Adelaide Hills Rally story? About finishing last?
Yes.
All right. Go for it.
100%.
Well, that's the S13. But are we there yet, or are we still talking about how to get into motorsport?
That's a good segue. I think people are in. So you've progressed through the ranks of $200 Gumtree specials, and you've gone, okay, I now am ready to have a proper rally car.
Well, yes, in 2016 when Dale and I won the Rally Sprint Series by 1 point, because all the hardcore cars would win and then break and win and break, and we just kept scoring points. So we won it by 1 point, and then my lovely wife Nisha said to me, "You love your rally, you love your motorsport, and you seem to be able to pedal. How about you build a rally car?" And I threw a number at her, and she said yes. Like, God, I love you. And so, basically took this S13 with Dale. It was an unfinished project that someone else, unfortunately, couldn't complete, and put it up there, and I saw it and showed it to the lovely wife, and she goes, "You may have that as long as you sell a car." I don't think I've sold a car, actually. I hope she's not watching this. So, 2017 off from motorsport, basically, and raced that in 2018 and last year, 2019. And last year we won the South Australian two-wheel drive gravel rally championship in it, Dale and I. But in 2018, at the last round at the Adelaide Hills Rally, round of the Australian Rally Championship and South Australian Rally Championship, run by Michael Clements and Andrew Admiral, who we mentioned earlier. So on day one, I sort of nudged a sandbank and did a bit of damage to the front of the car, and the boys welded it up, and we got back out there. Yeah. And then Sunday, SR threw a rod, and it threw it out both sides and the sump, 3 holes. So it was a pretty good job. I've heard of it, never seen it. And then we just rolled up to a spectator point at a T-junction. We just pulled off to the side and spent the Arvo there with the spectators and had a good time and took photos and made new friends. He's my Facebook friend now. We chat every now and then, small world. Yeah. Watched all our mates go past and waved at them, and then that's it. We're out. It's the last day of the rally and the car's broken. Well, no, it's not. You never give up, especially not in rally. Yeah. To finish first you got to finish, or even to finish last, first you got to finish. So we trailered the car to the finish line, which is legal because it's broken and we're missing those stages. Yeah. And then we pushed it off the trailer about 50 metres from the finish line. And under the regs, we can rejoin at the final control. So as long as we could get to that final control 50 metres away, we could rejoin, and then we cross that finish line and we're classified a finisher because we've done half the stages. We haven't dropped that many stages. But the motor's gone. Well, no, the engine's gone. We've still got a starter motor. There's still a motor there. So we took out the spark plugs and took off the belts just to make it as easy as possible and wired up a second battery in the boot, and then just used the starter motor and cranked it over the finish line. So we finished under our own power. We finished half the stages. We finished dead last, but we were 3rd Australian Rally Championship two-wheel drive car to cross the line because all the rest of them had attrition. So we're on the podium with ARC trophies, spraying champagne, the car that's over there, and so
chunks of metal out the side of the block.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with finishing last.
Yeah. No,
and never give up. Never give up. Never give up.
No.
Well, there when you were bashing the left-hand front corner of the car back together and welding it, and that was just incredible. I thought it was over because everything was just shoved up in.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was terrible.
Good job.
Yeah. Because when I crushed all in and pulled back out, started driving off, I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And so we finished that stage, transported to the next stage, went through that stage, transported back to service, and then away they went. But that front left was just hanging in the breeze, and There's some photos of the car where the wheels are just at this weird angle, and but that's motorsport. Yeah, never give up. If I'd have just sat on the side of the road and went, "Oh well, we're out of the rally," never give up. Just drag it home, get it going. Yeah.
I love those photos. The thing, those rally ones, and this is just a secret desire I've always kind of harbored inside, that I'd love to do this. When they lose a back right wheel, so the co-drivers sprawl across the bonnet as they're kind of limping into the finish. And there's a part of me when I've the limited amount of rallying I've ever done, I've had in the back of my mind of like, if we lose a wheel, I'm crawling onto the opposite corner of the car. We're going to do this.
So don't let Andrew co-drive, or if you do, check the wheel nuts before.
Well, there was one time down in Millicent when we did. Was it Wattle Rangers? Is that what it was called down there? That was an awesome.
I was going to bring that up, and I decided not to that event. But anyway,
that's the good one you can bring up with Busby and the Diplomat. Okay,
yeah,
I'll stay out of that.
Diplomat, but yeah,
I'll stay out
anyway.
So I was with Wayne Mason, a local South Australian, his escort, and we were doing a super special stage down at Mount Gambier at the Southeast Auto Club CX track down there, and halfway around, throttle cable broke. So there's a photo. You were taking the photos, weren't you? Are these your photos, Andrew?
No, I think I missed. I came down late, so I missed that
Mark Williams
stage.
Mark Williams, I reckon, took the photos. Yeah. Anyway, I saw visions in my head of when you were that co-driver under the bonnet as the driver's powering around, working the throttle. Yes, here's my chance. So bonnet up. Broken throttle, mate. I've got this. Get back in. The officials are running over, going, stop. I'm yelling away and go. The officials like, don't listen to the officials. Go. We didn't, but that was my chance to work.
That was it.
So Wayne, if you're watching this, that was your fault, mate. That was our chance.
Yeah. No, it's and I guess you could sort of summarize that motorsport, and I think rally in particular, just breeds hundreds of these sort of stories and adventures. When you're just away and doing what you can. It's good fun.
It's a lot like life. Life is a risk. Everything's a risk. Crossing the road's a risk. Getting out of bed in the morning's a risk. Making yourself a coffee's a risk. You look what you're doing, so you don't burn yourself, pour it all over your hand. I'm being stupid, but motorsport is a controlled risk, and rally is especially a controlled risk with all the trees and everything so close. But out there, you've really got to think on your feet to work through problems and get back out there. Generally, circuit race sport, if you have a problem, that's it. You're out for the race. There's no point getting back out there. Just look forward to the next race, whether it's in a couple of hours or whatever. But rally, because it goes for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 days or whatever they go for, you have to just do what you can to get it back running and get it out there. And that's one of the things I really love about rally. That and the two of you in the car. It's so much fun having a mate in the car. And that teamwork, you are one person. You're not two people in the car. You become one person. You basically, one person. Probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, just kind of working together to sort of achieve that common goal. And that teamwork aspect is something that. Well, that's bringing the team sport aspect of other sports into kind of motorsport, which a lot of people, and I guess as well, if you expand that to service crews and people that are helping you and meeting you to refuel and all that sort of stuff as well. It adds that kind of element of teamwork in as well to it.
Rally's always attracted me, and the in-car, the crew working together is what's really always attracted me. Always watch as much on board as I could. The footage from outside the cars, it's motorsport and it's racing, and but the inside the car when they're talking to each other and communicating and trying to tie in what they're saying with the road and what's coming up, I love that shit. And like rally, as you know, 9 left over crest 300, which means the road's over this crest, the road's going ever so slightly left, and then we've got 300 meters flat out. So you just in towards this crest in 5th gear, just tip it ever so slightly left. As you come over the crest, the road just opens up and it's right in front of the way you're pointing the car. Oh, mate. Or, of course, the opposite of that is Guy Tyler. When you tip the car in a little bit more than you should.
and then the wheel comes off, and then it goes bouncing past you.
Good times.
I'm sorry, GT. If you're out there, it's nothing. Obviously, we love you, and but that video was just the funniest thing. Just the wheel. It's one of GT coming around, and then literally there's some guy standing in the forest in the middle of nowhere, and Damo is co-driving. Middle of nowhere. This is the thing, like this road, but there's been 10 kilometers of nothing, and there happens to be a guy with a camera at the one point that the right rear wheel decides to detach itself, and then this video follows this wheel just bouncing into a forest and then kind of off over the horizon, and this 3-wheeled Renault Clio just kind of grounding to a halt.
That was gold. And when we get to the bottom of the hill, so we kept going for a bit to make sure we were safe and pull over, and we get out, and guys on the phone, I took a photo of him at the time, actually. He's on the phone to his missus or his dad, going, help. Yeah. And right at the top of this hill, like 500, 600, 700 metres away, right at the top of this hill, this little figure appears going, I've got your wheel. Fucking champion. So again, Facebook friends.
Yeah.
Facebook friend,
yeah. Amazing. So yeah. Very cool. Well, what do we have to cover? What's left?
I don't know. My stomach hurts from laughing.
I know. Lost track of.
My cheeks are worse than my wedding day from smiling. I don't know. Did anyone get any questions from anybody or anything like that? Actually, Pete on YouTube Messenger said Damo has to have an M&M delivery next.
Yes. Actually, that's something I reckon we could do.
Push like race gear too, like full M&M race gear.
You could do that on a the next $200 special. I feel like you could get some cheap book contact or something and kind of make a patchwork M&M something on there. Maybe that's getting too serious into it.
Sounds like overcapitalizing to me.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I've never done the cheap race cars, because I'll go buy a cheap car and then go, we can make it look pretty and let's fix it.
There's nothing wrong with doing that, but you've got to start racing it first. Yes.
Yeah.
You can't go, well, I've got this car, I've got to do this to it before I race it. No, get the car, race it, then start doing that stuff. Yes. Yeah.
And the other thing as well, like once you have that experience of racing it, you probably change your plans. Like I've definitely on my little X19 back home, I spent a fair bit of money buying parts that in hindsight I just didn't need at all, because I thought I did, and I thought that's what I wanted. But then you kind of work out that actually you need to do something different, or you want to go in a different direction with it. And so it actually there is other than just a fun element, there is probably a development issue.
I think there's a load of fun in buying a shitter or buying your car, whatever you want, and driving it, racing it, and then doing those mods, putting the stick, racing with the shitty street tyres on, then put the semis on, then put your suspension on, then upgrade your brakes, whatever. But if you do each one at a time, it's like, oh wow. You do 30, 15, 10, 30 mods at once, and it's just like, wow, but there's too much. Yeah, you've missed all these steps of fun. That's the way I look at it anyway. Yeah. I'd prefer just keep growing rather than try and spend all this time to build this magic thing that, as we said before, a race car's never finished. A true race car is never finished built. There's always something to do to it, no matter how perfect it is. There's F1 supercars, they're always refining things, aren't they? It's not like, okay, that's the car for 2020, let's leave it. No, you're always refining and working on it, even if it is your $200 shitter. It's like that gaffer tape sticker needs a little bit more on it, or it needs an accelerator badge on it, or
or an old Jag from Jordan Roddy that's trying to be faster than current spec GT3s. So
that project is going to be very cool. But
the weight reduction.
Huh?
No, we just Jordan Roddy, who was on a few weeks ago, was building. He's got this goal of basically making his father's old XJS racing car quicker than a modern GT3 car.
Yes,
and by doing, as you said, they've been racing that since the 80s. They've worked out what doesn't work. And really, I think, he said there's probably only the roof skin is probably the only part that's on that car that started back in the 80s. But yeah, that gradual process of updating it. And now their goal is to be quicker than a GT3 car, which I guess is sort of the ultimate evolution of where it can end up if you're not careful. But,
Project Binky, yeah.
And now Project Binky, I've kind of done what I think some people have with Game of Thrones. I actually haven't watched any of it yet.
I haven't either, to be honest.
Yes, everyone's talked about Project Binky, which, if anyone's not heard of yet, it's a Clubman Mini 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, putting sleek and GT4 running gear into an old school Mini. Yeah, but it's English, and it's an English sense of humour, and it's just really well done. A lot of taking the piss. And
how many years is that going though?
I feel like I've been watching it since I was 12.
So I'm waiting for that done.
Exactly. Yeah. Well worth it. Yes.
Yeah. So cool. Anyway, well, that's probably what we've got to discuss. So
I think we're pretty much nailed it
for joining us. That's good to hear, and I hope we've inspired.
It's been an absolute pleasure
to jump in and give it a go. And I guess the take-home message is just do it.
Exactly. If we've inspired one person out there, one of you, to go buy a $200 shitbox and just get out there to Mallala or Southern Districts or Walkerville or Cars Club or MG Car Club, one of their motor cars, just anything cheap and simple. Just get out there with a few mates. Get 3 mates together, $50 each. Go buy a $200 banger, weld the diff. Get out there.
the flip side, actually, we haven't touched on this, but the flip side as well is, one of the reasons I sort of never bought a car is I didn't have anywhere to keep one. But your road car, your weekend car, if you've even your daily driver, like all of these options, maybe not so much the gravel stuff, but definitely the tarmac and the motor, it's quite low. If you're not going crazy, it's not that taxing on the cars, and you can go out in your daily driver or your weekend car and slap some numbers on the side and go and do some laps or do a motorcana and kind of go in that way as well. So
plenty of people drive. Plenty of people use their dailies. Yeah, you're not doing Bathurst to 300 across McPhillippi Park. You're driving as hard as you need to. Like you go for a good hills run on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever, and you're not throwing the car off the road there. It's no different at a circuit or a track. You're just doing it with people taking photos, but those photos as they can look at and go, wow, rather than people taking those photos and showing to the police and you're looking at the bill going, wow.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well,
cool.
Thanks again, gentlemen. That's it.
Thanks, Damo. It's been real.
It has.
And if you do have any questions, find Damo on Facebook.
I'm there
Damian
somewhere.
Reed.
You'll find me.
Get the spelling right. DAMIAN. Reed.
And I think thanks for tuning in. Should be up on Spotify and Apple shortly. And I'm going to go and ice my cheeks.
Again, it's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. Thank you, boys. Sports Car Safari podcast at Sports Car Safari, Instagram, Facebook. Luke is at Boxer33, Barry XR33. I'm at AGR_Andrew. Damien is. Are you on Instagram, Damien?
Yeah.
Are you on Damien's on Instagram at what's your day?
At Damien_RO23.
Perfect. That's probably an easy way to get in touch with Damien if you want to get your motorsport happening. So thank you, everybody.